Natural gas and propane.
I didn't see the mayor and I didn't see, not that.
Here. Here.
Good evening. This is the work session for Northfield City Council, January 17th of 2023. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231 in the Press of Atlantic City on January 7th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci? Here. Mrs. Carfano? Mr. Deweese?
Here.
Mr. Leeds?
Here.
Mr. Notaro?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Palestina?
Here.
Mr. Chow?
Here.
Mr. President?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, tonight. I guess we'll start off with a presentation. I'd like to yield the floor to Mayor Chow.
Thank you, Council President. I don't recognize you. Before we start, welcome some of your family members and see you. Oh, yeah. And brother-in-law go to the back. Yeah. Yeah, Paul. Eddie was a real. First of all, I want to present this spot to you. This with sincere. With sincere appreciation and gratitude for 28 years of dedicated service to the city of Northfield and its residents and Northfield Police Department from 1992 to 2022. And this is a little token of our appreciation on behalf of the city council and myself. In addition, I'm going to put this right back here. In addition, I have a little proclamation regarding your retirement and the service to the city of Northfield. And it states where it is the responsibility of the mayor of the city of Northfield to give recognition to individuals and organizations for their hard work, dedication, and contribution to the community. And whereas the city of Northfield Police Department has launched in 1925, and whereas the members of the Northfield Police protect our lives, our families, and our community, often as great personal sacrifices. And whereas Paul Newman joined the Northfield Police Department in August of 1994 and tirelessly served his community and its residents for over 28 years. And whereas Paul Newman was promoted to sergeant in May of 2003, after serving in the detective field, he was appointed as acting lieutenant in 2013, acting captain in 2014, and acting chief in 2015. And whereas Paul Newman was promoted to the chief of the Northfield Police Department in 2016, and where he served upon his retirement on December 31st, 2022. And whereas the governing body of the city of Northfield wishes to recognize Paul Newman for his 28 years of service for the extraordinary contribution that he made to our community. Now therefore be resolved that I, Owen B. L. Chow, mayor of the city of Northfield, county of Lynn, State of New Jersey, and hereby wish to acknowledge and congratulate Paul Newman on the 17th day of January 2023. Please, and congratulations. As Paul is a product of Northfield, into Northfield Community School, as well as mainly in high school. And let me just thank Chief Newman for stepping forward when there was a dire need to have some, in my opinion, full-time consistency in the police department. Your dedication, and a lot of people, may not know this, but a lot of things that he did brought us up to where we are today. For example, the consolidation and the uniformity of our police fleet cars. We now have most of our SUVs, and they're much bigger, and I think many in the police department like this. As far as the other, not to say that we didn't. Bringing up to speed the caliber of our police guns from 45 to 9mm. Not only was 9mm an update version of our police guns, but also saved us, the city, a lot of money of bullets that we were using. He was involved in the consolidation with his input with the centralized sports here in Atlantic County. Also involved with the 911 system that we have and share with Lake Harbor Township and other communities. I can go on forever, but I am so deeply gratitude when I became mayor to have an individual lead us forward in the department. And I know it was a tough task, but he did an outstanding job, Chief, and I will always remember that. So thank you so very much. Help me on, I don't have to work with him, right? Okay, but here at the bottom of my heart, I want to thank everybody, my family, mayor, and city council for all your support and your dedication. We call for your dedication to the city of Northfield. Really made my job a lot easier. Thank you. Thank you.
Like, would you like to take a moment, take some photos, family, Chief? We still support.
Yep. Yeah, people are done.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
No. So. Or in the event the fire is fueled by natural gas.
Both non-combustible.
Happen anyway. Yeah.
Even wood.
Gas would be non-combustible and wood. Yeah, you can have.
Yeah, we're seeing.
We're still not.
Be anywhere. Wood has to be on the back.
Wood has to be. Right.
Which is.
Oh. Take a motion for recess. Okay. Nice job. We lost one. Wait. Yeah.
More than 3%. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the committee reports. Councilman Leeds.
Attended my first planning board meeting. Reorg meeting. Every other day of the week. I think we should look at the idea of introducing 9 people. Everybody puts up against each other. Maybe cut back a little bit. I was also disheartened that the chairman continued to discuss things that were not on the agenda, even against the advice of council. And it's something that maybe we should have looked at in the future. But the public has a right to know what they're talking about and have it available beforehand, not the night of it. EMS responded to 107 calls last month. 44 times they went to municipality outside of our township. 15 times we had to get another town to come in and cover for us. The 107 is just in Northfield. The fire department responded to a total of 72 calls last month. 40 of them being EMS calls, where the additional daytime firefighter average response time is 2 minutes or under per call. His first 3 days, he brought 2 people back to life in his first 2 days being appointed, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
On a kind of not a personal note, but something that hit home is last month our fire department responded to a working fire in our city, and it hit a little bit harder for us because it was one of their own members, and one of our members here. And I just want to thank them for going out in good or cold that night. Many of us were out there, and their quick action and their responsiveness and going in and saving the homeowners 3 dogs is pretty impressive. And their dedication to the city needs to be acknowledged just for that. I also wanted to thank retired Chief Newman, Chief Von Collin, and Captain Steinke. They came out and made sure everything was secure. Chief Von Collin put steps in immediate action to make sure that we had the road department there, because water, as you can imagine, was starting to freeze from the fire department. So Streets and Roads, fantastic job being out there to protect everybody. So overall, it just showed in the time of need how public safety agencies come together. So I think that something really needs to be mentioned to all. So
It was great teamwork.
Chief, thank you. The fire department, thank you. And one of the other things, I don't know if you noticed, but our ladder truck has been out of service for a couple months. And problem is with the way financing works, they can't get an estimate, so they can't get a purchase order until they know how much it's going to be to fix it. So we should look into figuring that out. Thankfully, both Puzzle and Lumen had theirs there quickly because they needed to get up on the roof quickly. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman DeWeese.
I don't have a report tonight, Mr. President.
Councilwoman Bucci.
I do.
Full page.
Anyway, for as far as Municipal Alliance is concerned, Coffee with a Cop is going to be held on February 25th at Good Shepherd Church between 12 and 1:30. Cafe Brew is the vendor that's going to be providing the coffee. I think the Mothers League is providing other snacks and things like that. RSVPs are encouraged, not required. If you want to RSVP, you can email or call Shannon Campbell. Also on April 1st, we're gonna have a movie night, and on June 3rd, Hooked on Fishing. The details on that have not been finalized as of today. Insurance and safety, I don't have anything to report. Economic Development Commission, businesses in Northfield are forming a Northfield Business Association, which is separate from economic development. So they've named their board. They're in the process of writing their bylaws. They're forming their website. Once they do their bylaws, they'll be forming a private nonprofit and getting their membership information out. The commission members, I've recommended to Tom Paulstina. I also want to take this opportunity to introduce Michael Grossman from Kensington Furniture. He's in the audience tonight. He's been instrumental in everything that I've worked on with this. So I just wanted to introduce him and thank him for everything.
Thank you, Michael.
And that's all I have.
Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. To first congratulate Chief Newman on his retirement once again. I want to say that in the years that I've been on council, I found him very accessible and responsive whenever I needed him. So I want to personally thank him. I mean, out of the room now. I did want to recognize that. I also want to extend congratulations once again to Steve Von Collins here, his first, I think, official meeting. And looking forward to many years of your service. The Northfield Community School will have their first official meeting on January 23rd. So that hasn't happened yet, the first one of the year, but that's how we attended now on the 23rd. And I just wanted to, I don't have much to report, but I just wanted to, that we had an individual who was on the agenda this evening in our resolutions for the positions of part-time construction official and part-time building inspector. We're happy to have that going through this evening. I just want to say that shared services, when we were in need of these positions, I reached out to a number of municipalities locally and found willing partners in Galloway and in Ventnor. And I just wanted to kind of mention that we did have some traction there if we needed to get into a shared service. I had extensive conversations with both Galloway and Ventnor, and they were willing to fill up voids that fortunately we found, or he found us, but we had a qualified candidate who came to us that were voting on this evening. But I did want to say that in terms of shared services, we did find willing partners to work with us, and I wanted to say that to the other members of the council. If there's anything in your domain, your committees that you think might be worth looking into shared services, let me know so that we can reach out. And as we get accustomed, if you have a new position, we do have municipalities locally that are willing to engage in talks. So as chair of that committee, if you have anything in your committee that maybe you can look at, then please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. And that's all I have.
I could maybe elaborate a little bit. Darren Maddock reached out to me today. He's very interested in going forward with sharing with Northfield the dispatch and looking into equipment and housing it in Linwood. So I know we've come up a bunch, dead ends there, and maybe there's a savings there, maybe there's not, but it's something that he's very serious and interested in looking into. So, maybe between Eric and Councilman Leeds
And last year we had conversations about that, so we certainly need to continue to look into those.
I figured next meeting, I met with one of the radio vendors the other day in Mertzman. He gave me a ballpark number, but I don't want to spit that out until we have more concrete, which would be equally shared between both towns. And again, Mayor Maddock told me that they're on board no matter what.
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all for the participation in that. And I know all the work you did on trying to nail down these shared services. It is appreciated from council. Councilwoman Carfano.
Council President, the only thing I have is I know that mainland channel received all of the booths for our meetings, and I will look at them as far as times. So I'm working with that. I did speak to a couple people regarding the veterans hospital. So that's in the works. I'll report back next. And there's a mainland meeting tonight, but I can't be there, so I'm here. So the next one is February 23rd.
Thank you. Councilman Natara.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the sewer department, over the weekend, we had a sewer main break on Zion Road. It was a forced main. I want to thank our police department and our sewer department for, I guess quarantining the area until our contractor came out to do the emergency repair. This is a force main, and it's a 40-year-old force main, and it's getting up there in age, and are we working on borrowed time there with this thing, or is it something, we may look into slip lining or doing some repairs in the future there? I know I spoke with our engineer on that, so we'll be looking into, some other options there other than, these pop-up emergency repairs. From economic development, I look forward to my first meeting as a liaison with Councilwoman Bucci and her amazing work over the last year, and I look forward to helping her out and continuing that work. From FAN, I'm looking into some much needed repairs on some buildings out there. Working on maybe seeing what the costs are going to be, and hopefully we can get it into the budget coming up. These are, maintenance repairs that need to be done. So I think it's best to, be proactive there. From construction office, I welcome Derek Leary, echo Councilman Smith, and I look forward to meeting him soon. And that's all I have.
Thank you. From my committees, I did attend the library board meeting. One of the things that did come up there, since they have a meeting room, someone from the public came in concerned about the ability to use different meeting rooms throughout town, and the insurance requirements seemed to be the topic of discussion. I explained that that wasn't the library's rule, that was ours from the city based on the JIF. So that's something I think maybe this year we can try to see if we can find a way to make that easier for residents to use meeting spaces without I'm not sure what the cost was, but without having too high of a cost for a resident that's already paying taxes if the meeting room's unused. One of the things that they do there is if people show up and the room's not being used, they can just go in. But if they schedule it ahead of time, then they are required to get the insurance riders. So maybe that's something you and I can speak about, Councilwoman Bucci, since insurance is part of your, and maybe Mary, since your safety, we can try to figure something out there that we can work around if there is one able. The other item that discussion was the maintenance agreement. They submitted their proposal to us. We sent them back a one that was more similar to what we had done in the past that specifically mentioned maintenance. What they had proposed to us included a lot of details that didn't really weren't really part of a topic, wouldn't be a topic of a maintenance agreement. They were just trying to set forth groundwork so that from what they'd said, so that they have points of contact and what, a path for future boards as boards turn over, so that it's not always starting from scratch every time there's a new board member. So that's something going forward that I'll work with them we'll try to figure out a way to at least have maybe an operating manual, if you will, so that there's no confusion as to whose responsibility is what with regards to the library and the building and their operation. And as far as their December statistics, their attendance was 1,073 people. Circulation items, 1,472. And in-person programs, there were 33 with a total attendance of 257. and 22 new patrons. On my finance and collections, as you know, it's the time of year where we start talking about budgets. And for next meeting, I'd like everyone just to be prepared so that we can set some schedules. Be ready to set up our budget meetings, and in the interim as well, please contact your department heads to make sure that they've submitted everything to finance, to the CFO, so that we'll be better prepared when the budgets begin. Last item I have is I think everyone was copied, our net value of the town, all that net rateable value, that is 872,389,600. It went up by more than 5 million, 5.3 million. And just to give you an idea of what's been going on since 2008, we were at 993 million in rateable value. We've been dropping periodically through appeals. And I guess just the market value of property as it dropped, 2008 being a high point. So things are starting to possibly rebound. So even though it's only a $5 million increase, it's after a drop of more than 100 million.
Was that all in the last year or two?
That 5 million is just from 22 to 23. And that is all I have from my committees.
That's
Yes.
not indicative of what we were talking about last year with the properties that had done that were assessed.
It's that's part of the increase
But it's
is
not just all.
part of the increase is that, and part of it is values. Okay, moving on to the ongoing topics. No, not heard back. And as far as the auction, we're still waiting to hear back from the various public service that build homes. Habitat and similar ones that build homes as far as that block 66, lot 11. The sign ordinance, I believe we have that on the agenda tonight as a introduction, so there's nothing we can discuss anything there. Are there any, I know you are working on a grant as far as the new items. Okay, thank you. Okay, then, if anything else new to bring? Everyone can please then refer to your agendas. Approval of the minutes, Councilwoman Bucci, Councilman Notaro. On the resolutions, is there any resolution anyone would like to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, consent agenda for resolutions. Councilman DeWeese, Councilwoman Carfagna. Ordinance 1, Councilman Leeds and Councilman Smith. Ordinance 2, Councilman Notaro and Councilwoman Bucci. Ordinance 3, Councilwoman Bucci and Councilman DeWeese. Payment of bills, Councilwoman Carfagna and Councilman Leeds. And meeting notices, Councilman DeWeese. Sorry. Ordinance 2 is Councilman Notaro, and you would be second.
Should we just make for adjournment, just make Dewey's motion for adjournment?
Okay, at this time, we'll open the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter, we ask that you please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and observe a 5-minute limit per speaker. Anyone in Zoom?
Anyone in Zoom wishing to speak, please raise your hand and I'll unmute you.
Okay, seeing no one, the public session is now closed. Have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We'll resume the regular meeting momentarily. Okay.
Good evening. This is the regular meeting of Northfield City Council, January 17th of 2023. This meeting has been properly advertised in the Press of Atlantic City on Saturday, January 7th of 2023, and in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, let us remember and keep in our prayers those serving in our national armed forces, especially our troops away from home and also our first responders. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you.
Roll call. Mrs. Bucci?
Here.
Mrs. Carfano? Mr. Deweese?
Here.
Mr. Leeds?
Here.
Mr. Notaro?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Palestina?
Here.
Mr. Chow?
Here.
Mr. President?
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of the minutes.
I'd like to move to dispense with the reading of the minutes. They've been distributed to council and on our file in the office of the municipal clerk.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mayor's report?
Thank you, Council President. I too would like to voice my compliments and share the professionalism of our fire department in addressing the fire that occurred at my house. If it was not within 10 or 15 minutes, my house would probably have been fully evolved. And obviously I would be in a worse situation than I am. I also want to thank the other municipalities on their share, in response to the fire, and that is Pleasantville Fire Department, Linwood Fire Department, and Summers Point Fire Department. So thank you very much, and I do appreciate all that was done. And as Councilman Lee said, it was a very good response from all the various departments, including the police and the emergency management. And I want to thank some of the council members, the council president, Leeds, and council president Palestina. They were there also, and Councilman DeVries, and I think I got everyone today. Yep. So thank you so very much for coming out and sharing your support in my situation there. As I said, it could have been worse. I got there and had several burns on my fingers, but all I can say is that I'm very fortunate that I'm standing here or sitting here talking to all of you. And so thank you all so much for your support. With regards to the planning board, I did appoint with the result of one individual permanent member who resigned. And that is the replacement is Mr. Henry Notaro. Mr. Notaro has been up to this point a alternate member for 20 years. I think 20 or 25 years. It was 20 or 25 years. And now he's going to be serving as a permanent member. I also, in the alternate. I also appointed former Councilman Paul Utz, who I was very impressed with. Well, when he was serving as a liaison to the planning board, very knowledgeable and very experienced in terms of what was said and done by on his representation to the planning board. And lastly, my report with Chief Von Collin. We've had several meetings and discussions. One of them is with the promotions. I know Chief Von Collin will be presenting to me to present to City Council a new mechanism. Hopefully you will agree in terms of the promotion process. And that is to eliminate the testing of the New Jersey Chiefs Association, which costs quite a few, but I think, how much does it cost, Chief? $12,000? Yeah, so I mean, it's a cost that not only the city has to bear, but also the individual or candidate who's going for the promotion exercise here.
Per test or is it per,
The title.
per title?
For title, yes. Okay.
So as many tests, okay.
We also discussed the concern that I have shared with council for the past several years with regards to retirements and the replacement of officers within the department. We are needing officers, or what Chief Von Collins said, we're at critical mass. We have individuals, we have a young department, we have individuals with little experience in terms of the administrative aspect. Obviously, these are the future leaders within the department, and that's something that we need to address, or at least Chief and I to present to City Council with this situation that we occurred. As I said, I've been talking about this for the past several years, especially as it affected retirement. We expect another retirement within the next several years. So it's important that we get people experience and get people who are knowledgeable in terms of the position itself. So that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, I believe that with the testing, it can do multiple levels, but
Yes, oh, yes, yeah.
the supervisory,
The lieutenant, the captain position,
Correct.
yes.
but still it is costly. Okay, engineers report. Okay. On the slip lining would it, any chance of it being the one that broke?
No, it's a different location.
Too bad.
Typically, the force mains are, we would replace those, right? We wouldn't slip line those.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, moving on, we will now open the meeting to the public. Anyone from public wishing to speak, please state your name and address for a record and observe a 5-minute limit per speaker.
Anyone in Zoom wishing to speak, please raise your hand and I will unmute you.
Okay. Public session is now closed. On the resolutions, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and having been reviewed by council will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certificate of availability of funds. Are there any items that anyone wishes to have removed? May I have a motion to vote by consent agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolutions 32, 2023 through 42, 2023 by consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda for resolutions 32, 2023 through 42, 2023.
A second.
Roll call.
Sorry, I had a Zoom audio issue I had to fix.
You need to get a tech person here some days.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfagno?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Carfagno. Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of the consent agenda.
May I have a motion for adoption of ordinance 1-2023?
Like to make the necessary, motion to adopt ordinance, 1/2023 by name only.
Second.
Ordinance 1 of 2023 is an ordinance providing for and establishing salary ranges and for officers and employees of the city of Northfield and repealing all ordinances heretofore adopted, the provisions of which are inconsistent herewith. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing, after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. The ordinance is presently posted in full on the municipal website as well as in the lobby of City Hall, and any member of the public who requested a copy of the ordinance has been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk since the time of introduction. If approved this evening, the ordinance will be published a final time in the Press of Atlantic City on January 21st of 2023.
Okay, the public session for ordinance 1-2023 is now open. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on ordinance 1-2023 may do so at this time. We ask that you please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Anyone in Zoom wishing to speak regarding ordinance 1 of 2023, please raise your hand and I will unmute you.
Seeing no one, the public session is now closed. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfagno?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 1 of 2023.
Before we move with motion for 2-2023, the solicitor has some amendment.
Yes, prior to the meeting, I spoke with Councilman Notaro. He's requested that one change be made to section 117-4. Section B, currently that section ends with the word non-combustible. We're going to extend that to add the following language, which says, or in the event said fire pits, chimeneas, or similar device is fueled by natural gas or propane. So that would allow a natural gas or propane fire pit on a non-combustible deck type surface. So if you, whoever has that motion and second, if you would just move it as amended verbally just a moment ago.
Mr. Fascendi, you'll give me the written notes for, yeah,
Thank you. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2-2023
I move to
as
introduce.
amended?
Yeah. Move to introduce ordinance 2023 as amended verbally, to be read by title only.
Ordinance 2 of 2023 is amending Chapter 117 of the City of Northfield Municipal Code entitled Outdoor Burning. This is the introduction. There will be no public input, and the ordinance will be published in full in the Press of Atlantic City on January 21st of 2023. There will be a second reading, a public hearing, after which the matter will be considered for final adoption on February 7th. The ordinance is presently posted on the municipal website. However, at the end of the meeting, I will amend that notice so that the introduced copy is reflective of what was decided just now during discussion.
Thank you.
Council President, I'd like to just quickly thank our clerk for picking up on that amended,
It's a good catch.
yeah, good catch. So, thank you.
Roll call when you.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfagno?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of ordinance 2 of 2023.
Thank you. And may I have a motion to introduce ordinance 3-2023?
I'd like to make the motion to introduce ordinance 3-2023 to be read by name only.
Second.
Ordinance 3 of 2023 is an ordinance amending Chapter 215 of the Code of the City of Northfield governing land use and development. This is the introduction. There will be no public input. The ordinance will be published in the Press of Atlantic City on January 21st of 2023. It is presently posted on the municipal website as well as in the lobby of City Hall, and any member of the public who requests a copy of the ordinance will be provided with one free of charge during regular business hours by the Office of the Municipal Clerk. According to municipal land use law, the ordinance will be referred to the City of Northfield Planning Board tomorrow, and they will have a period of 45 days to review and comment. At this point, the ordinance is scheduled for a second reading, public hearing, and final consideration on March 7th.
As read in the title, it's a land use, but it's mainly the items that we discussed regarding signage around town. So we'll get some input from the planning board, and hopefully we can make a couple changes. And it's, as they're working on the master plan at this time, it's probably a good time to do it. Roll call when you.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfagno?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of ordinance 3 of 2023.
May I have a motion for payment of bills?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize payment of bills in the amount of $3,663,892.78.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfagno?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for payment of bills.
Meeting notices?
Next city council meeting is February 7th, 6 PM work session, regular session immediately following, and a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed?
It's gonna help you out, Fred, that's all.
What's that? Always on the board. Oh, this is just, I think there was, this was the final. So this was the second, this is the final adoption. This is the second, yeah, this is the introduction. So you see intro here, that's an intro, that's an intro.
Wow, such
This is the
technology.
second reading.
I didn't even see you leave.
That's it.
I didn't even see you leave and go to your office.